So after running away successfully from the Fell Dragon army, Alear is distraught after all the pain she suffered and endured through. The main princes and princesses are there to comfort Alear in this time of sorrow. Alear is shook by the current turn of events. She is unsure what to do, but she knows she has to guide everyone to redemption and lead the army. So she vows to never lose anyone again. Bold statement. So next chapter, the Divine Army heads over to Solm, and since it's their only option really, so they head there to go to Fogado, meet the Prince of Solm. So welcome back to my Fire Emblem Engage miniseries. This is part 2 of 4 of a part series of my Engage video essay. If you haven't watched part 1, I suggest that you do so. I will leave a link in the description down below. So let's get part 2 started. So in the last chapter, we picked up both Lyn and Lucina, and I didn't talk about him in the last episode, so I'll bring it up in this one. So Lyn is, well, insanely good, and easily one of, if not the best, emblems in this game. Got a slow unit with good strength? Don't worry, Speed Taker is your best friend. Can't find a way to bait an enemy without risking a unit die? Don't worry, she can summon fakes that can chain attack. Want to kill some annoying enemy unit with some stave? Never fear, use Astral Storm. Have a fast unit who doubles, who has no defense? Do not worry, Alacrity is your best friend. Lyn is too damn good for everyone's sake. I use her on Etier because of her high strength and dex growth, and even despite the low speed, Lyn and Etier functions very well as a duo, so that's Lyn. Lucina is more of a passive attacker, performing chain attacks and chain guarding units. She's using Parthy and a rapier for most of her weapons. She's not an aggressive emblem, but more of a support emblem. She's still a good emblem, so you could put her on units like Marin and Fram, and you'd still get something good out of Lucina. Anyway, chapter 12 is a route the enemy map, and Pandreo, Fogado, and Bunei joined your team. The goal is to route the enemy. This is a filler map, I suppose, but even then it is nice to have one at this point, and it is some downtime from what just happened the last few chapters. The music is pretty good as usual, so Fogado is a bold cavalry user, and I'll be blunt, I really don't like him as a unit. Maybe with the right emblem setup like with Erica or Lyn, but it's a lot to invest to and it's just not worth doing all of that for one unit. Zgetsu seems to be really good. I put him into my starting lineup and he is damn good. Bunei is a Grey Knight who only talks about food and cooking and has this line when you select them.
They're cooked.
Anyways, as I said before, you meet Fogado, the Prince of Solm. He leads a squad called the Sentinels, and we run into him. But there's a problem. There are more corrupted showing up everywhere, so we must assist the rest of his squad to keep him alive. You meet his other retainers, Pandreo and Bunei. The slideshow BS wasn't as noticeable before, but in this case, it really sticks out like a sore thumb. There should be a sense of urgency that they're corrupted, trying to kill them. So here's how the scene goes.
Pandreo! Bunei!
Fogado! You're late!
With any further delay, these creatures would have made a meal of us.
Sorry about that, fellas. But hey, I brought help.
Help? What do you mean, help?
Oh, Pandreo, my pious friend.
Hello? I'm the Divine Dragon.
Oh, it's the Divine Dragon! The Divine Dragon! Hang on! What were you thinking, bringing the Divine Dragon here?
Mind you, there are corrupted right in front of them, ready to kill you, but they're not taking the threat seriously. So now I'm in my couch, not taking the corrupted seriously because it's a Tuesday afternoon for the characters despite literally getting their asses beat not even a chapter ago. We're already back to the theater BS. Fogado and Bunei hit the bench. And tanks are just not that good in this game in my opinion, but reinforcements come in, and since there's quicksand on the map, it's annoying to navigate through the map. There's also green units, but I just let them go to the Shadow Realm. Not sure what you get for saving them. No dialogue really happens if they die. So yeah, chapter 12 is a fun chapter. It's tedious, but you can still have some fun out of it, especially on subsequent playthroughs. Fogado and Bunei join the bench, but Pandreo is staying. It's good to have a healer and a secondary mage. However, there's an emblem that'll make him a lot better, and we'll get to that soon. So after that, we make it to Solm, and we meet Fogado's mother, Sephoria or Queen Sephoria formally. Since she personally knew Queen Lumera, she is naturally allies with Alear. So you request that she gives you emblem icon, and now the unserious theater bullshit comes on. In a time where we desperately need emblems, the four hounds are hunting us down. We are limited on emblem rings. This bullshit happens. I'm all for funny cutscenes and all, don't get me wrong, but in this game the cutscenes that are supposed to be playful and lighthearted fall flat and are timed really badly. This would be fine every now and again, but it happens quite often. Mind you that we lost all of our emblem rings a few chapters ago and are running away from the four hounds and the Fell Dragon army. The stakes are high and any major blunder could be costly for the Divine Army. Regardless, the Queen tells us Tamara has the ring, and Tamara's Fogado's sister as well. The Queen says I should pack my bags and go to the Oasis like it's a vacation, like a sports team going to Cancun after getting eliminated from the playoffs. My Texans, unfortunately. Thankfully, Fogado convinces her not to go, and off to the Oasis we go. We end up seeing Tamara along with her retainers, Panette and Marin. Corrupted show up and onto the map. Panette is a berserker and a axe user with really good axe prowess. However, Panette is easily one of, if not the best axe units in this game. She has consistently good hit rate, her personal is quite good. As long as she doesn't have full HP, she has plus in crit. The fact that with a lint engraving on a killer axe, you could get a guaranteed really high crit chance. And plus, as she levels up, crit rates are gonna go higher. But class her to a warrior since she is a dual threat. The only issue with this is that you can't use S rank weapons on axe or higher rank weapons on bow. You can make her a sniper and have a duo. In my case, it could have been Etienne and Panette, but I think making her a warrior made her more versatile. She still remains a backup, so you still do chain attacks with her. Marin is a wolf knight. She specializes in knives and swords. She has an ability with her, Hobble, that can reduce the enemy movement by 2, but you have to level up a bit with Wolf Knight, so it takes a bit of time to unlock it. So that can be helpful if you don't want fragile units like Citron getting one around it. I like to use Marin, give her Lucina, and she can do chain attacks and have dual assist, which is quite nice. She joins as a green unit in the prep screen, so you have to wait till the next chapter to make any changes on her, like her equipment for example. Tamara is a lance user and she is stuck with Ike. She is also a backup, however I chose to bench her since she didn't really seem like a good unit to use in this playthrough, and could be good with emblems like Eric or Sigrid, but ultimately Amber is fine as the main lance user. Alright, so you pick up Ike in this chapter, and well, I mean, he's an emblem, I guess. I personally never used him much throughout the game, and his ultimate Great Ether is not bad if you're using tanks in this game, but in higher difficulties, tanks are not as reliable. Chain attacks do damage to you regardless, no matter what, so even if you're a dodge tank or a defensive unit, the chain attacks will do at least 3 to 5 damage to you no matter what. So that's one of the big issues, so tanks can be liabilities. So this is another Fog of War map, and it's filled with a bunch of breakable obstacles, so enemies can easily spawn in and out of nowhere and just kill your unit, or just literally come from the shadows, if you will. Part of the map is also water, and only flyers can move around it. The bosses are 2 brothers whose name I already forgot and don't really care much for anyway. I kill them with Kagetsu no problem, and that's a very tedious map to get through for the first time. On repeat playthroughs, it can be easy, or you can even cheese it with a longbow. Anyways, after the map, a Somme soldier warns Tamara that Princess Hortensia has breached Somme Palace. Once we do arrive to the palace, we arrive and meet Hortensia, as she threatens to kill the queen, but like the player, the characters aren't taking her seriously. Tamara talked like she didn't give a and said, "You can take my family hostage, but these rings are mine." She gets infuriated and Zephyr spawns in out of nowhere, putting Hortensia in a hex curse, making her evil. So we prepare for battle, and oh look, the 4 hounds are already dead. So much for being a threat. This chapter is pretty slow and turtling for the right side of the throne room. It's what I did. You run into Marnie, Mavier, and Zephyr, each having a few health boxes spare. I take out Marnie with Citra no problem, Mavier with a bunch of range attacks, and Zephyr with a leer.
The stolen rings. You'll return them, won't you?
I can still do more.
Sigurd, Celica, Micaiah, Mar.
You!
Oh, did you want to see them? Couldn't have you taking them, could I? You're quite strong.
Hortensia is easy to kill despite having Byleth in her arsenal, giving her the ability Divine Pulse, meaning any attacks missed have an opportunity to hit, and since Hortensia has fairly high luck, she can be dangerous on enemy phase. She has low physical defense, so killing her was easy.
No! Pretty weak.
I'll help.
Ivy. Why does nothing go my way?
We beat the chapter and Hortensia is back to normal. She gives us Byleth and we have 4 emblems in our arsenal. Alright, so now that we got Byleth, well, Byleth's next. He's a dancer that has the ability Goddess Dance, dancing any blue units adjacent to the user. A dance spot in a nutshell on top of Cedar with the hero's relics as his weapons, which is the Sword of the Creator, Veil Nut, Lance of Ruin, and so on. Before we move on to the story, let's talk about the units I've benched. So the first one is Louis. Again, he's not a bad unit, but having a unit with 4 movement can be pretty tedious in later maps. He can be a liability since there are mages. Next is Saline, and this is because she wasn't a bad unit, I just thought Citron was better. It's because Ivan and Citron pull up as a flyer mage and a stronger mage. It's simply why I benched her. She's still a solid unit early game, but it's you know, Citron's way better, okay? Lapis is up next, and she's not the best unit. Serviceable, yeah, but Kagetsu is right there to use him on my starting lineup, and I have too many sword users on my team. Sorry, Lap, I really like you as a character though. Jade, I didn't bother mentioning in part 1, so why should I now? Alfred got replaced by Amber, and it's as simple as that. These units can be viable, but I prefer the current units I have in my starting lineup. But anyways, let's get back to the main story. The queen is pissed off as Hortensia for threatening to kill her, but she lets it slide through her having to help out the Divine Army in future battles. So Hortensia joins the team and is a starting unit in my lineup. Hortensia is a healer, so primarily she is quite good for healing duty, and give her Micaiah, she's easily one of the best units to have on your team. It'd be nice to have her with a Micaiah, but right now we don't have Micaiah since she got stolen. But she can use tomes anyway, and quickly upgrade her to her advanced class Sleipnir Rider. By this point of the game, you should have your advanced classes ready. Following chapter 14, the queen tells us where the next ring is, and that is Corin. So we head into an abandoned fortress, and we see a dancer just doing his thing. A whole bunch of corrupted come out of nowhere and try to ambush him, but the Divine Army makes it in time. We must keep him alive because that is a dancer. Any dancer knows well that they're guaranteed a position on the starting lineup, except for that one dancer in Awakening. I don't know about feeling her. We slowly make our way over to him, and he introduces himself as Sidon. He has Corin equipped for this map and can summon ice particles out of nowhere. Some unit types can spawn veins of fire, fog, rock, whatever the case just so happen to be for your unit equipping Corin. Alright, so now that we picked up Corin, let's talk about her briefly. Corin is the last emblem that is not DLC. She has one of the best abilities, Draconic Hex. Debuffing units and using her ultimate Torrential Roar, you get an AoE effect, Draconic Hex. She works best on mystical units, which is basically Roy's ultimate, which summons a fire area, hindering any movement from grounded units. It's the same thing, but you can do it at a turn and as many times as you want, like a Dance of the Goddess, or Contract from the DLC Emblem. Veronica. You can spam it as many times as you like, or with covert units you can use fog and just, you know, do whatever the hell you want with Corin. She's broken. We have to do it because otherwise the purple tiles make you weaker. These are called miasma tiles. They make you weaker, but the enemy gets a buff. So the ice veins help out nicely as they serve as dummies for enemies that can pass through. So you can use them to block off enemy paths or buy time for you and your units to regroup. The map takes a long time because of the narrow path, so it gets annoying fighting the enemies. At some point in the map, the units spawn in and they are strong. They one round most of my team and have high defense and a tank. The reward for killing them must be nice, so it's not all bad for those two simple units that are reinforcements. The last segment is tedious, but all you need to do is guide Cedar to this tile and exit the map and you're good to go. Now get the f out the temple. We regroup in the fortress grounds only to see Vale, and she is not welcome in the Divine Dragon's army, and rightfully so. But here's another problem I have. None of the characters have noticed that Vale has a different tone, different demeanor, a different eye color this time. Hortensia had red eyes, different tone, different demeanor, and no one considered, hey, maybe Vale was under someone's control like Hortensia was. You can make an argument on why Lear would look past that because she has a personal vendetta and likely blind anger against Vale. But Ivy was a former commander in the Fell Dragon army, so wouldn't she at least have some sort of knowledge or know something is off about Hortensia? And speaking of Hortensia, she should know something as well. But they don't say much. Diamant and Alfred are rightfully angry, and it makes sense that those characters don't know the truth of the whole hex spell curse. Ivy and Hortensia should know something about the spell. I'm pretty sure Alir thinks she can change at will, which would make for an interesting concept, but that's not the case. Regardless, Vale runs away sad and finds Gris, who gaslights her successfully, thinking none of what she did is true. Thing is, she didn't do it. It was her other form, but we'll get to that later. Anyways, chapter 16, the Divine Army is informed about some ships heading to Farinay from Lugia, so we confront them at the coast of Somme, where we meet Goldmary and Rosado running off with an emblem ring, Emblem Erica. One of the best emblem rings, okay? Lunar Brace is so good. Alright, so we picked up Erica. So let's talk about her. She is one of, if not definitely, the most broken emblem in this game. You can basically say it is a crit, and crits are rare unless you got a certain build for it with a certain character, but Erica's easily one of the best emblems in this game, and she can swap with Ephraim, so if you need slightly extra damage, he has your back. And Gentility as well is a decent ability for units that need just a slight extra boost in defense. Regardless, we head to the coast, ready up to confront the illusion ships at any moment. Since Rosado and Goldmary took an emblem ring away, they chase the two and send Marnie and Mavier to handle the two. We end up running into them and Rosado draws his weapon out on Alir. But since Hortensia is on our team, they join us and are force deployed in this map. Introducing Goldmary, she is a hero class with a sword and spear to start. She doesn't have a ring. Her character can be summed up to mastering elegance and masterful flirting. Rosado is a male Hortensia, if you will, so he is all about being cute and stuff like that. Rosado is a pre-promoted Wyvern rider, and he is an axe user. He's stuck with Erica for this map, so he's good for the map, but force deploying him in, it's some benefit with Lunar Brace. so you can make do with what you have in this map with Rosado. You can also use Ephraim, who is Erica's brother in her game, the Sacred Stones. I stuck with Lunar Brace and rarely used Ephraim unless I absolutely needed him, which one of his abilities can deal slightly extra damage, while Erica gives you slightly less damage, meaning you get a little bit of a defense boost or an attack boost depending on who you are using. This map is egregious for having the water gimmick on top of dealing with reinforcements coming in from the top and bottom paths and more spawn in from the starting area. Reinforcements galore. This map was not fun for me for the first time you fight these corrupted dragons. They have a bit of range, but again, Erica can handle these units for the most part. It all seems well until you realize shit. The water rises and not every flyer is going to kill your weaker physical units and you will have to rewind. I did that a lot in this map, so patiently waiting sucked. I found going to the top path was more beneficial since the bottom path has flyers and dealing with flyers aren't typically fun, so that's a no-go. So I take the top path or suffer on the bottom path if you are into that hyper aggression. Once you get far enough into the map and you confront Mavir and Marnie, who are again easy to beat since they don't have emblems equipped, and Marnie can be killed with magic, Mavir just using a rapier and you're fine.
Here we go. Beaten by a bunch of weaklings. Fine. We'll call it even.
My turn.
Were you raised by wolves? I'll go first. Not done yet.
Not done.
Don't break too easily.
I withdraw for now, but we will meet again.
The story moves to them retreating and Vale meeting up in Fahrenheit. But before that, Vale is back to her innocent self where she vows to never do harm, and Zephyr doesn't think much of it until Vale reveals she had a stone that indicates one of her siblings is alive. The war 1,000 years ago of many Sombron's children died in combat. Vale was too young to fight, so she survived. And 1,000 years later, one of her siblings is alive. I wonder who that could be. Regardless, we move out to Fahrenheit and the town is taking fire, and we mean real business now. We see all the 4 hounds group together despite beating Marnie and Mavir just now, but all 4 are here. There's no anime BS, no games, just real storytelling. The Divine Army and the 4 hounds will face off against each other in this town. Vale switches back to her evil form and it's revealed that it was a spell curse. What a surprise. So, Alear now knows the truth and she takes her gloves off and prepares to battle to kill the 4 hounds. Now, okay. This is what a good chapter is. You have 6 emblems on your side, they have 6 on theirs, so both armies are evenly matched. This is easily the best chapter in the game since the 4 hounds are being treated as a real threat. They burned the town in Fahrenheit and are planning to invade it to kill the queen. Yet notice how earlier Fahrenheit was blooming flowers and a beautiful landscape. Now it's nothing but a wasteland with all the burning windmills and stuff. We move on to the map and oh my goodness, the objective is to kill 6 bosses. This was the first time in a while where I was genuinely invested in the story and wanted to get the map going right away. The atmosphere, the music, everything in this chapter is being treated as if it's a final map. And this chapter captures that perfectly. The bosses each here have an emblem equipped. We'll go one at a time. The first boss we deal with is Gris, who has Celical equipped and isn't much of a threat to begin with. He does have a reckless warp Ragnarok on Pandreo, and since he has high res he can handle it just fine. We take him out no problem and there are more beasts to handle. Enemies are everywhere, but since picking up Corn and giving her to Pandreo, he can use Fire Veins as he is a mystical unit, so you can spam Fire Veins as much as you'd like. Getting to Marnie is not that simple, since triggering her also leads you to triggering Mavir as well. And he has Micaiah equipped, Marnie has Roy equipped. So remember Roy, he gives the user the ability Holdout. and she has the plus version so she can endure damn near any attack. There are also generals in melee as well, and since all you really have to fight is 6 emblems that aren't as strong as the others, Mavier doesn't have warp or obstruct or any stuff like that, so he's not as broken as he would be if he did have those staffs, so we should be able to take care of him easily. It took a while, but Marnie is finally taken care of, and so is Mavier. We regroup and bait Hyacinth. Since he doesn't have Lyn, he is much easier to deal with this time around, and we fold him easily. This also triggers Vale to move forward to us, and she is taken care of no problem.
It's not possible. How could this happen? I promise you will not survive our next encounter.
There are a lot of Emblem recharge tiles, so the devs were quite generous to give us that many tiles to recharge. Anyways, Zephyr is the last unit we fight, so as she approaches we tank her hit. She can use override, so do be careful of that, especially if you have any cabs or sword unit in range. You can also use Cancer. It puts herself in an awkward position where not all my units can jump in and do some damage, so I have to be careful. Even so, she is no match for my team and they retreat.
No need for restraint, Sigurd. Run wild.
I'll go first.
You're quite strong. Armed like this, and yet I did not win.
It would be nice to kill at least one of them, but they run off to Elugia Castle, but we prioritize preventing any more casualties in Fahrenheit, so they get away with no issues. The next chapter is another filler chapter. It's the same boss from chapter 3, but hold up. Is that an NPC with an actual name? Let me talk to him real quick. Oh, and welcome to the team, Lyndon. He's an old man. He joins with a good amount of SP, and 2000 SP for that matter. So you could give him Draconic Hex with Corn and make him a debuff unit, but I already have Citron on the team, so I skipped out on him. Anyways, chapter 19 is another filler chapter, and I want to say that, but you fight Marnie and Mavier, but it doesn't mean anything in the bigger picture because you don't kill them, so you ultimately just wasting your time fighting them, and f this map for having me spam Fire Veins, Obstruct, Mavier, Warping units, Marnie's holdout, dealing with the reinforcements. At least we got Makai and Roy back, so all is well. Vale is asleep, but Mavier has a soft spot for the innocent Vale, and he sets out under one condition: to not curse Vale until he returned. He headed out with Marnie to buy time for Zephyr and to get away with Vale, but they get punished returning once Zephyr found out we got 2 emblems back. Oh, and all the corrupted we killed in that map were villagers, so yeah. Chapter 20 is another filler map. Aside from getting Celica back and finding out that Alir is a fell dragon, that came out of nowhere. So Lear is having a mental crisis, but the power of friendship is here to help. This makes it twice a major turn of events happen, and it's treated lightly. Back in chapter 11 and this chapter now. The actual map is a fog of war map with Grist teleporting across the map. So he plays hide and seek with you on top of not being able to see in the dark. It's nice they have Micaiah back, but you can't really do much. Sure, you can light the room up, but it'd be a waste using her. Sure, it guides you far until you don't know where Grist is. He can teleport in and out, attack a team member until 15 to 20 turns he stopped playing hide and seek, and you can finish him off that way. He doesn't teleport, and had my Alir not equipped Roy prior to the map, she would have died. But Holdout came in clutch nicely. As I mentioned before, we learned that Alir is a big phony, and she is not a divine dragon. At least they have a reason why Alir is half red, half blue. You can say she is half divine, half fell dragon in a nutshell. It's basically explained because the way emblems are summoned. Divine ones use prayer to summon emblems, but fell dragons use incantations to summon emblems, resulting in the emblems having red aura. But since Alir is half divine, she can get away with making the emblems blue and have free will. She's fell dragon by blood, but from Lumera's care she became half divine, and from getting her power inherited. The only explanation is from chapter 3 is when Lumera transferred her power over when she was dying, I suppose. It's sudden ass pull, but I guess you can make a case for why it happens despite the minimal lore this game has. It brings up the 1000 years ago war with the opening cutscene, and I have to spoil the late game a bit here. So spoiler warning for those who haven't reached this part of the game. If this is Alir from the past, which is 1000 years ago, red hair, eyes, fell dragon outfit, and everything, then what does this cutscene even mean? Alir Lear has her normal outfit and everything. She has a divine fit, her blue and red hair. The royalty in this main game is here for some reason. But the tutorial map is supposed to be the war 1,000 years ago, which I'm pretty sure it is, because in the cutscene where Lear is red, she gets killed, and I say that loosely. The opening cutscene and this cutscene make no sense. Where is the fire? I don't know, but there's a lot of things that go unanswered in this game, and questions that should be asked aren't. But that's going to be it for this part of I'm Engaged. The next part is already being worked on by the time I uploaded this video. If you want to stay posted on future videos, then considering subscribing and turn on notifications. And as always, enjoy yourselves and have a good one.